welcome on board.
Yeah.
All right. So talking about feeling betrayed by the increase in the pump price of petrol. Now, before now, we've heard people actually say the NLC have betrayed us because they took out time, did whatever protests, strike, warning strike, and everything, and agreed to a 70,000 naira minimum wage. And now here we are. They have increased the pump price of petrol. So Nigerians are pointing at you as the ones who betrayed them. Did you hear me?
I heard you. I'm listening to you. I'm listening.
So I want to get your response to that. Some people feel the NLC rather betrayed Nigerians and not the federal government.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think I reacted to that statement made by my comrade president, Comrade Joe Ajero. I think the statement is very clear from if you read the press statement. Honestly, I would tell you that that is how we feel as a Congress today. You remember that when subsidy on May 29 was announced by the President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that it is gone. Immediately we reacted on that, and we reached ultimatum, and we said that decision is not timely and it's not acceptable by labor in the country. We immediately also issued a threat of protest, and on that ground, I will tell you that NLC got a lot of lashes from the masses. This government is too early. NLC is now a Labour Party. We are supporting Labour Party. So we are fighting for those that lost election. We are called different names at that point because we know that this government is not sincere. And removing subsidy at that time was not the appropriate thing for them to do, because the subsidy payment is not about those receiving subsidy. It's investigating, checking the root of how this subsidy come about and who are partakers of this subsidy. If actually there was a subsidy, but the government did not go into that the subsidy is gone. And they begin to say that the price of petrol will be by the regulation, that based on demand and supply, the market forces will determine. So at the end of the day, we did not also agree with that because we know there will be no sincerity on their part. We went on that protest, the masses were against it, but NLC went on protest. And after then, we now issued an ultimatum again, kind of warning protest. And after they continue again, when the government engaged us, they convinced us as of October last year, we reached an agreement on measures to cushion this subsidy. Because of that time, the hardship started. And I forgot, even went on a hardship protest for 1.5 days in River State here. Some states did 2 days, which the masses were also against. The NLC leave us. This government, they are just on board that we will like the suffering. After some time to be fine.
I wonder who you are referring to as the masses. Perhaps a few people you know in your circle?
Few people. I'm saying this because I can remember even being in your show like this. When I was also discussing this and making this statement, people were responding. I will tell you, everybody responded was against NLC, going on protest against hardship in Nigeria. They said that we don't have to do that.
So the
government will feed the country. They supported the government. But today, here we are. But the issue on ground is that why we feel betrayed by the present government, let me go straight to the issue, is the fact that in the process of negotiating this minimum wage, the federal government came to us at the last offer, 9 minutes, when the president was to intervene with the leadership of the National organized labor, both NLC and TEC. The president addressed us and saying that the government cannot afford to pay 250,000 naira as a minimum wage. However, if they do that, the implication is that the price of petroleum products will go high with no less than 1,200 to 1,500 naira per liter. And we look at it and say that if we accept 250 minimum wage and the price of petrol PMS goes to 1,200 and 1,005, the immediate effect is that the price of goods and services will increase, will skyrocket. So for that reason, we did not consider only ourselves, our members who are going to receive this money. We also consider the impact it's going to have on the general masses. So, okay, we take 70,000 naira and the price remains at what it is, or possible reduction if our refineries begin to work, which the government also promised that Port Harcourt refinery will start working in soonest. They're going to work in soonest, and the price may likely go down than what it was as of then.
So you're saying that during your meeting, can you hear me?
The price of PMS has gone to 879 naira per liter, and the Port Harcourt refinery is just coming on board, started producing PMS. The 70 minimum wage have not been implemented. And you are doing all of this. The same federal government that made this pledge and promises. That is why we say we are betrayed. Because that was the intent and the spirit at which we agreed on 70,000 minimum wage. You will agree with us that we never wanted the 70,000, we sit on 250. But that was the spirit and intent. We accepted 70,000 as a minimum wage.
Mr. Agwanwor, hold on.
Back again and begin to increase the price of CMS. For us, we feel betrayed and it's not acceptable.
Okay. It seems like the way Labour people talk. All right. So you say it was the spirit and what was that other word again?
It was the spirit and intent behind agreeing 70,000 naira as a minimum wage. That the PMS
hold on. I heard you the first time. I just want to understand something, right? Because you're saying spirit and you're saying intent. Was it
intent of accepting 70,000 naira?
Yes,
as a minimum wage.
I know. I heard that. I just want to know, was it clearly spelt out, during the negotiation, were you guys told we will not increase pump price of petrol, so accept 70,000 naira?
Yeah, that was what we were told. As I was saying, that is the spirit and intent of accepting that 70,000 naira. We were communicated, we were informed. Even when we had our NEC meeting, we disagreed at the NEC meeting. But the Congress decision to appeal that look at what government have also said. Do we accept? We throw the option at the NEC meeting. If we say we are going by 250,000 naira, at the end of the day, our members will get salary increase of 2,000 naira. The price may go up to 1,215. Yes, at 250 we can manage to an extent, even though it's not enough. But what about those who don't have a job? What about the ordinary man on the street? What will be the impact of the price of goods and services that will increase as a result of that? And that was why we said, no, let us fall back. Let us not just look at ourselves alone. Let's look at the general masses. Let's take the 70,000 naira and let the price of payments remain the same.
Oh,
and let's believe government to see what they will do in terms of putting refineries to work, that the price will furtherly come down also than what it was. But by coming down in price to 879, and also the refineries are working, and the minimum wage have not also been
okay.
And
I'm sure we come back. We'll continue with conversation. Stay on this, sir.
The show is after break. Nigeria Info.
And before we went on that break, Mr. Alex Agwanwor, the Rivers State NLC chairman, was telling us how it was that the federal government actually, in reality, betrayed the NLC. And of course, earlier this week, when the NNPCL announced a hike in petrol prices, the president of the NLC, national chairman of the NLC, Joe Ajero, said that they feel betrayed. And he said, we actually accepted 70,000 naira as minimum wage because there was an understanding that the PMS price would not be increased, even though we knew that 70,000 naira was not sufficient. But then we agreed. But how come they have chosen to do us dirty? All right. So Mr. Alex Agwanwor has also clarified that truly that's what the agreement was. And so they actually feel betrayed. Public Affairs Analyst at Akpotive on board.
Thank you much, and thank you for having me.
So what else he has said? There are people who would rather say that it was NLC that betrayed Nigerians for agreeing to a 70,000 naira minimum wage, and why were they so trusting? So I want to get from you, as someone who has watched the, should I say, body language of government over the years, especially with regards to agreements. Would you say it is the government that betrayed here, or the NLC that betrayed Nigerians to go and agree to something that may not have even seen the light? And of course, we're seeing what is happening now.
The Bible speaks about the fact that from the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God suffered violence. Can you hear me, Constance?
Loud and clear.
Yes. So from the days of John the Baptist, from the beginning of when Nigeria was created, government upon government have been betraying Nigerians. As a matter of fact, if you put on Google to say Nigerians feel betrayed, you would see an avalanche of stories around how Nigerians feel betrayed about certain things and policies that were brought by government. It's been what had been from the days of John the Baptist, quote and unquote. But you see, what is much more nauseating is the betrayal of NLC. So for me, it's not something we should converse around or converse about, the betrayal of the government, because some of us knew that nothing good would be able to come out from this government. I had said it severally, shouted to high heavens on several radio stations that Tinubu's government was not going to be able to do any better than what the Buhari's government did. I shouted it out that it was just going to be, the usual thing. But you see, I am much more betrayed by the NLC. I wish I listened to the NLC president here, that was speaking. The NLC seemed not to understand the antics of this government. And I'm tempted to say that I like the fact that the government is going to the NLC leadership and what they are doing to them. Because if you wanted to go to bed with dogs, permit my use of that word, you would definitely catch certain, organisms that are not supposed to be common with humans, that are common with animals. So NLC sits back, watches the government in NLC back, watching the government back, watching the government and knowing to Nigerians, to Nigerians that they have removed subsidy. On this your radio station, I had arguments saying that subsidy has not been removed. They are not removing subsidy on several radio stations in this town, including in Abuja. I said it's a lie, but I've been proven correct today that they've been lying to us. Remove subsidy. Meanwhile, it was just a subsidy rearrangement, not subsidy removal that was done. Now, NLC watches all of these things happening. Then they say to Nigerians that they want to go on strike because of minimum wage. And I'm sitting down and I'm wondering, what gusto are these people even reasoning? People called NLC. What is the population constant of NLC amongst the working population in Nigeria? What is the working population in Nigeria? Which percentage what percentage belong to NLC or even PUC? So if you have 200 million Nigerians, and of the 200 million Nigerians, 150 million Nigerians are working, How many of these 120 million Nigerians are part of NLC today in our country? How many of them are part of NLC? The truth of the matter, NLC had begun very selfish. So themselves only have things salary. And it's been proven now that so even if they paid you 200,000 minimum wage constant, and the government, like they're planning now, increases VAT the next day. The government increases the pump price of fuel like they have done. The government increases. How do you think you are going to benefit from that 200,000 that have been added to your salary?
Okay.
Some of us have been saying to NLC, pursue the things that are more important.
And which is
things that are more important. Leave the salaries that you people are always concentrating on, because the salaries are nothing. If you were to even do proper denomination of, the standard of living of Nigerians, what is salary? When you're computing standard of living, what is salary even in that computation today as we speak? The truth of the matter is that I feel personally, as I feel very betrayed by NLC. Talking about the betrayal of the government is what they have been betraying us from the days of John the Baptist.
Okay, Mr. Alex Agwanwor, did you hear him?
Well, I don't know who is speaking.
Okay, I'm going to tell you who is speaking. Okay, so he's a public affairs analyst. His name is Akpotive. So he's saying he feels betrayed by the NLC and not necessarily the government, because the government has been betraying for years, for decades, since time immemorial. It's normal for him. But he feels the NLC rather pushing for a minimum wage at a time when so many things have gone wrong, and instead of focusing on the other things that would benefit the general masses, the NLC rather focused on increased minimum wage. He says that was the betrayal for him.
Okay. Can I respond?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's very important to put the records very straight. NLC has never canvassed for only minimum wage. Well, I heard him mention about electricity tariff. I heard him mention about the VAT for PMS increase. You are aware that about a few months ago, that one of the challenges we are facing today with this present government is when we went on strike, this country will shut down all over the country, including the power grid, regards to electricity tariff increase. You are aware of that. So we are not quiet about it.
Yeah, but shutting down power, which the whole of Nigerians would...
My comrade president, it was also part of it today. When that press release, can look at it. Talk about the PMS. And if you look at the address too, the issue of PMS is the person in the studio. Is he saying that NLC accepting 70,000 naira against 250,000 naira to allow the pump price to remain at what it was, 591, was in bad faith that NLC is selfish on that? Or NLC did not put the interest of the masses at heart? When we begin to make this kind of statement, however, we as leaders in terms of NLC, we can never be discouraged. Because one thing that inspires us, encourages us, is that we stand for justice. Even no matter how you try to paint it. So far as this country is concerned today, the Nigerian masses has been conquered by the politicians. We're all aware of that. The only people that have not been conquered in this country is NLC.
It's a lie.
And that is why today you can see that even the
lie from the piece of hell.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Andy.
Listen to me. Have been victimized, have been imprisoned for protesting. It is only NLC that is speaking for them.
Okay, so
that came out to protest that have been canvassing how to release those that have been detained for protest. It's not only NLC that have been lending voice to that. Nobody have come to speak for those people. No voice has been heard in this country. So we continue to speak truth to power, no matter what anybody say. Irrespective of our whatever affect our members, NLC will continue to speak truth to power in this country, and we can never be intimidated. We cannot be demised.
Okay, so Mr. Agwanwor, can you hear me, Mr. Alex?
Can come to anywhere and try to discourage us. We will not accept that.
Okay, Mr. Alex Agwanwor, could you tell us in one sentence what the NLC plans to do with this betrayal by the Tinubu government?
Well, I think our statement is very clear, like the statement stated clearly, that the NEC is going to meet to review the situation.
Okay.
After now, there will be a NEC meeting, and that NEC meeting will take decisions on what is next step to take, the next line of action in regards to this betrayal.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Alex Agwanwor. Thank you so much for being on the show this afternoon or this evening. Now, Mr. Andy, I'm going to conclude with you. All right. I need you to tell us in one sentence what you really want the NLC to do differently, especially in this particular situation.
Listen, some of us do not believe in the NLC anymore. Let me put it on record. Nigerians and River people should listen to me. The NLC will not do anything.
So are you saying you have nothing you want them to do?
I'm saying I do not trust that they can do anything for the good of the Nigerian people anymore.
Okay.
The NLC that has stood for, we know the protest in this state and across the country.
All right, Mr. Andy.
They want to represent the people who are there. Who in the NLC is representing the people that are behind bars? I want to hear from him. Like him called the lawyer that NLC is sponsoring. I can tell you the lawyers from the civil society front that are representing these people.
Okay. Mr. Andy, I am so sorry, but we're going to have to call it a day here now. We have another interview that's coming up in just a few seconds.
It is all right.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for being on the show. Well, that's it. But after the news, I'm going to take a few minutes to read your messages. And I'm asking you, how are you coping in the face of the hike in petrol price? My name is Constance Mega.